Hi guys, today's video is about body part splits, or what's also known as the bro split, and I'm basically going to give a little bit of a defense for it because I've written an article from my website a while back, and I've updated and done a sort of similar version for breaking muscle, discussing body part split and why it's maybe not as bad as some people say. Now, if you are kind of like an evidence-based background, or you keep up to date with the literature in terms of research on hypertrophy, you'll know a lot of people talk about training frequency and specifically muscle-specific training frequency. So, how often is an individual muscle group hit per week? And with a traditional bodybuilders body part split, what has become known as the bro split, it's thought of that you hit each muscle once per week, completely trash it, and give it a full week to recover before going again. Now, the research kind of indicates this isn't optimal, and that training a muscle once per week is definitely suboptimal, and you're better off training a muscle group something two to four times, and depending on the exact muscle, it might be 2, 3, or 4 times, and based on your experience again, you might be somewhere along that continuum, but generally between 2 and 4 times per week, and actually within that range, there's not that much difference on your results. So that obviously points to the bro split not being ideal. So why am I doing a video that's kind of in defense of it? Well, it's not so much that I think a bro split's great. I just want to point out some of the errors that people make when they kind of bash it. You see articles on the internet saying, like the bro split is dead, and high frequency training is the way to go if you want to build muscle, all this sort of stuff, and they really bash it. And basically the pendulum swings from one extreme to the other. Everyone's doing body part splits, and then you're an idiot for doing body part splits. There's nowhere in that middle ground, and in most things, that middle ground is actually probably the most sensible. So let me expand a little bit why I don't think a body part split's quite as bad as people make out, and then I'll sort of discuss how you optimise it. But first, I better define, just to be clear, what a traditional body part split that I'm talking about is, and it's kind of a split where you hit one muscle per day, and it would look something like Monday chest. Of course, it's Monday's always chest. It's International Chest Day, right? Tuesday back, Wednesday off, legs on Thursday, Friday arms, Saturday shoulders, Sunday off, repeat. Something like that, where there's a day dedicated to each body part and a full week's recovery between. Now, you could set that up on a 4-day or a 5-day split, and on the surface of things, it really isn't ideal from what we've learned from the research on the subject, and training multiple times per week being best for hypertrophy. But if you look a little bit closer, you'll actually see that a lot of the muscle groups get hit twice across the course of a week, which is in that more ideal range. I mean, based on the evidence we have now, if you trained every muscle group twice a week, you'd be doing pretty close to what the science is telling us is optimal. So, why is that? Well, if you think about it, chest, if you do that on a Monday, you work your chest, but then later in the week, you're going to do a shoulders and maybe an arm session together, or on different days you do a separate shoulders and arm session. So that shoulder session probably involves some pressing. So let's look at it. The anterior delts, they get worked when you're benching in your chest session, and any pressing you do there. Then they obviously get worked when you do overhead pressing in the shoulder day, and your triceps have worked on bench day, and they've worked with shoulders. And if you have an arm day, then triceps also get hit there. So triceps might be getting hit 3 times a week, shoulders are getting hit, certainly the anterior delt is getting hit twice a week. And that's the same for example, biceps. They take a big load of work on your back day doing chins and rows, and then you have your arm day. And sure enough, obviously the biceps are hit there. Now, quite often people incorporate deadlifts on a back day as well. So on that basis, there's a little bit of leg stimulation on back day, and obviously on leg day too. Your abs are getting hit. If you're doing big compound movements, your abs are getting trained multiple times a week doing that. So actually, whereas initially it looks like, everything only gets hit once per week and it has a full week's recovery, most muscle groups are probably getting hit once really hard, and then a second, maybe even a third time to a lower degree. So on that basis, it works really quite well. It's quite close to the optimal strategies. Again, just think about the chest. I don't think I covered that one in my last examples, but on a tricep day, what are most likely the most popular exercises? Well, sure, rope press downs and skull crushers are going to be popular, but you can bet your last dollar that people like dips and close grip benches. Well, your chest gets a ton of stimulus out of those as well. So chest gets hit on Monday, but it's getting hit again when you're training your triceps. So most of the body gets hit multiple times a week. Now, sure, there's some that are lagging, like, we might be clutching a little bit to say the legs are getting hit twice if you're doing deadlifts with back, but they're getting a bit of stimulus, but they're probably a bit undertrained, and maybe your back as well. Back has back day, but not much else the rest of the week, right? Like, unless you throw close grip chin ups in as an arm exercise on your arm day, the back's not getting hit anywhere else. And is it any wonder then that most of the people that follow these body part splits tend to have really good physiques, but they're lacking a little bit in leg size and their back? Well, yeah, no surprise when you look at it like that. So actually, think about it, body part splits have produced some incredible physiques over the years. They've worked great for tons of top bodybuilders, but certainly recreational trainees who have got themselves in great shape. But maybe then so it's not as bad as we thought. It's maybe just a little shy of optimal, but it's not that difficult to tweak it to suddenly turn it into a very good program. For example, if you started doing some lateral raises on your chest day and on your back day, your shoulders would get hit multiple times a week, or the lateral delts would anyway. Then you could do on your arm day, it could be a second back day where you hit some back work a bit lighter than you were earlier in the week, but get some volume through there, get stimulus, and then you move on to hitting your biceps and triceps, and that works around. Now, if you do that, legs are still lagging, so you might, on subsequent phases, you can prioritize certain muscle groups. In the next phase, you might have, training legs twice a week, but following, a body part split on everything else. There's any number of ways you can manipulate it, but the point is that just to be aware that on the surface, while you thought this was like a stupid training split and you should never do it, and only idiots do body part splits, actually there's a bit more to it than meets the eye. And if you take in what the best bodybuilders have done and learn from that, and incorporate in what science is telling us, you'll do much better. So kind of Bruce Lee approach of take what's useful, reject what isn't, and adapt it to be specific to you. You do all that, you're in a great position. And remember, success leaves clues, and most of the biggest, strongest, leanest people on the planet have followed a body part split, certainly at some point in their career. So don't poo-poo it, just discard it out of hand as being a stupid idea. Just be smart about how you implement it, and if you do, why you're implementing it, and how you might just adjust things a little bit to get you into a better training frequency of that 2 to 4 times per week per muscle group range. Anyway, I hope that helps you just to clear up why body part splits aren't necessarily the devil, and actually they can really help you grow.